Speaking of crazy people, here's a story for you. Sorry, the sun is playing games again today. Here at Julian's Travel Stories, we only use natural lighting. A few years ago, I treated myself with a little trip for my birthday. This was a place I'd been wanting to visit for a very long time. A place that I feel every European, if not every person in the world, at some point should see. The place that I'm talking about are the former concentration camps Auschwitz and Birkenau. Seeing that this is a story about an experience with a crazy person, I will not be talking about Auschwitz and Birkenau a lot, but actually about my arrival and departure in Poland. But seeing that I wanted to visit the former concentration camps, the most logical place to fly into was the beautiful city of Krakow. The former Polish capital, the historic center of Krakow, is situated in southern Poland on the river Vistula. One of the largest administrative and commercial centers in Central Europe, Krakow was a city where arts and crafts flourished and the culture of East and West intermingled. This 13th century merchant's town has Europe's largest market square, and numerous historical houses, palaces and churches with their magnificent interiors make it one of the most outstanding examples of European urban planning. A further important drawing point for tourists is the closely located memorial and museum, former concentration camp Auschwitz-Birkenau. It was my very first time in Poland, and my flight arrived quite late, which is why I decided to opt for a transport service to take me to my accommodation. I was greeted by a very friendly gentleman holding up a sign with my name, Julian Cornelius Fernandez. And we got into the van and started driving. So seeing that this was the first real Polish person I met, I decided to ask him a few questions about Krakow. So we started talking a little bit. What very quickly crystallized out of this conversation, this guy was a stern Orthodox Catholic. And it almost felt like every topic was off limits. Also, he was not really keen on Germany and Germans, and he made that very clear in the language that he was using and the jokes that he was making. Which is why I told him that I'm from South Africa, which is true as well. His response to that was, "Waka waka!" Sure. At some point we passed a couple of guys who were dressed very flamboyantly. "Those gays need to leave the country, we don't want them around here. It's not God's work, it's the devil's work. They've come here to poison society." So things became really weird, especially when he asked me what my religion was. Catholic, I'm Catholic. I'm not Catholic. Sitting in the hot seat of the devil's taxi. He then proceeded to ask me what I thought of Polish girls. At which point what I really did was just to tell him what I thought of Polish boys. Great facial features, nice voices, really great build, very sexy. This was such an uncomfortable situation. He then also gave me his number. If I'm ever in trouble, I just need to call him. His friends are gonna sort everything out.
No thanks.
When he dropped me, he asked me what my plan was. I'm actually going to Auschwitz, you know, that place where millions of people got killed. People that were discriminated against, because they were Jewish and gay and stuff, so... His reply to that was, nice. I didn't really know how to take that. I was really worried about Polish people at this point. But luckily, as it turned out, Polish people are lovely. I had such a great time in Krakow. The city was beautiful. The people were helpful, they were friendly, they were really funny. I just really enjoyed exploring this medieval town. I had phenomenal food, the weather was great. I was in absolute travel and culture and foodie heaven. I spent one whole day in Krakow, and then the following day I did my big Auschwitz and Birkenau tour. I'm just gonna talk a little bit about it. I almost feel like this actually needs a separate video. The night before I went to Auschwitz, I read a book by Elie Wiesel called Night. It's an autobiography that documents Elie Wiesel's time in the concentration camp when he was a kid. Although it is horrific, it is beautifully written, and it really prepared me for what I was going to experience the next day. I visited a few concentration camps, and this I've experienced everywhere. It's that strange energy, this very heavy, depressing energy that encompasses everything. Obviously, it's a combination of people thinking, of people realizing, hearing the stories, seeing where all of these terrible things happened. And I'm also a firm believer in spiritual footprints. The feelings I had when I was there are probably what I remember the most. You're confronted with so much horrific stuff that's staring you in the face. And I didn't want to go to Auschwitz at a point in my life where I wouldn't be able to feel anything, but I also didn't want to go when I was an emotional basket case. So it felt like the right time to go. I still spent the following day in Krakow. I did some really great walking tours. I really got into the street life, the vibe of the town. It was fantastic. And they make the best hot chocolate ever! The following day I was flying back home. I just thought, let me be lazy and grab a taxi. Well noted, I did not use the same transport service. In fact, the card that he gave me, I had chucked it away immediately. I called another shuttle company and they came to pick me up. I took my bags, waited on the street, the car pulls up, the door opens, and who do you think was driving me? It was the same guy! Why? Again? I had done everything in my power to not use the same company, and it was the same guy. So I asked him whether he was driving for several companies. No, he actually got fired from the other one because someone was complaining about him. It wasn't me. Now he's working for this company. Just my luck. The first thing he asked me was, how many Polish girls did he take home? To which I replied as though he'd asked me how many Polish boys I took home. None. And I also said, you know, the city was so great. I just spent most of my time outdoors. I loved the vibe. And how was Auschwitz? Did you enjoy it? Did I enjoy it? What a weird way to ask that question. He then said, impressive, right? I don't know, maybe, I suppose. What do you mean? So what I did was I faked a phone call. I said, I'm sorry, I'm actually getting a phone call from work. So I was on the phone for 20 minutes. Just before we reached the airport, I hung up the phone and I said something that was my 2 pennies worth. You know, I actually came to Poland with a lot of prejudices against Polish people, which wasn't true. But being here, I really embraced the Polish culture, the Polish people. This was such a fulfilling little holiday. And I'm going home with a completely different view of Poland. And I added, you know, I don't think it really matters if you're Catholic or Jewish or Muslim or an atheist. It's our personal values that matter. He replied, yeah, you're probably right. It doesn't really matter which religion you have. Unless you're gay. All I can say is baby steps. You do you, I'll do me. Make sure you don't hurt anyone. I'll make sure I'm not hurting anyone. I feel like there's a reason our paths crossed twice. Who knows, maybe if I go back to Krakow, I will meet him again. And maybe he will be in a loving relationship with a Jewish Muslim man and 2 Chinese Hindu kids. Who knows? I've traveled to Poland probably another 3 times after that. Love the country, love the people. Just wanted to say that. That's it from me for today. I'm checking out. See you tomorrow.